Kind of fast, kind of not. Either way, always running or talking about it. Welcome to the Kind of Fast podcast, powered by Upward Running. Let's get into it.
Welcome back to another episode of the Kind of Fast podcast, the show where we talk running, real life, and everything in between.
So whether you are training for your very first 5K or chasing down a big PR, this podcast is for you. We share stories, training tips, and plenty of laughs along the way.
We sure do. This week's episode is stacked. We've got a brand new What Does That Even Mean? And we're talking about a term that might surprise some of you. It's called Bandit. And trust me, if you've ever thought about just hopping into a race without registering, you're going to want to hear this one.
Yep. And then in the news, we're going to be talking about the brand new World Treadmill Championship called Run X, plus some big updates out of Chicago. The 2026 marathon registration is officially open, and someone at the table, me, has already got an entry into it. So excited about that one.
Yep, we are also going to talk about my race this past Saturday, the Spinx Half Marathon, and I am super excited to kind of break it down for you guys.
Then finally, we've got in the deep dive today, we've got post-race recovery as a topic. What do the experts say? What does Coach Dean say? Do I have any thoughts different than Dean? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see as we get into that. But, really looking at how to actually rest the right way after you've crossed the finish line, which both of us have done in the last 2 weeks. And I would say very successfully. Congrats on your race.
Thank you. I'm excited. Let's get this show on the road with our drum roll. It's time for What Does That Even Mean? And this week, as I mentioned earlier, we are going to talk about a term called Bandit.
In the running world, Bandit is someone who runs a race without actually registering for it.
Yep. So they hop in just willy-nilly on race day. They don't have a bib. I actually think some Bandit runners were running this past Saturday, but they got away with it because it was so cold. I probably saw, 20, 30 people with no bib on, but that might just be because they had sleeves.
I saw a video recently of a race official. He was dressed. How was he dressed? He had... I think he had something that made him look like he was a medical worker or something, but he was right there at one of the water stops, right in the middle of the road. He looked like maybe he was there to maybe help some people, but he was there specifically looking for race numbers and what people had on. And if you didn't have the right gear, he was going, that guy out of here, this girl out of here, just pulling people out of it, and they were kicking them out of the course right then and there. So there's different ways of approaching it from a standpoint of a race official or from the people who are putting on these races. And so some take it more seriously than others. But anyway, it is something to pay attention to.
Yeah, I feel like a really good example of this is also at the Cooper River Bridge Run in Charleston, which is a pretty famous 10K race in South Carolina. And race officials estimated that 10% of all finishers were bandits. But in my book, I don't think you're technically a finisher if you're a bandit runner.
Yeah, finishers as in ran the course, but not an official finisher in the course of running the race. If you talk about 10% at Cooper River, that's 30,000 runners. You're talking about, what is that, 3,000 runners at that point in time? That just puts a lot of more strain on the system that is the event of putting it on. That means that's another several thousand people going to the start line. That's another several thousand people are going to be at the finish line. It's that many more people using porta potties and taking waters and all of that type of thing. It really can make a lot of chaos, and it's kind of stealing. It's kind of something that you didn't pay for these things, and that's kind of the way that I'm looking at it now. Is in being older now. When I was younger, I wouldn't have thought it was a big deal. I would have thought who cares? Like, I'm going to get some fast miles in. I don't care about being a part of the results, and I can jump in. I cannot recall ever doing this, but I think I would have been open to it, or I knew of people and I didn't think it was a big deal. Now that I'm older, like, I'm someone that doesn't even share passwords for TV accounts because I think that's not right. And therefore there's no way I would do this at this point in time because I feel like it's thievery or stealing at this point.
Yep, I agree with that. Do you remember a few years ago, and it might even still be a thing now, where people were making a big deal to not share your race bib online before your race because people were taking your bib, cloning it, printing it off, and then wearing it as you for race day?
I hadn't heard that, but it does make sense that someone could do that. And then so like the example of the race official pulling people off, they would, if it looks exactly the same, they'd have no reason to pull anyone off there. But you got to think of it like in a medical attention situation. They're going to be looking up that number. What information did you put in? They might be contacting your family, putting them into a panic of like, oh, there's your husband's being taken to the hospital, and it might not even be you in that situation. That would be just terrible.
That would be so bad. So bad. They did this at Run Disney, actually. And there are photographers all over that course. And it came up a few years ago where there were multiple people with the same number in the pictures. So they got to catch the bandit runner that way. But
That's interesting. Yes. That makes
very
sense.
interesting. Yep.
Because, they just took 50 photos of me in Columbus and they post that to your account where you can buy them based on your number. But if half of them were someone else, that would, hey, that's not me.
Yeah, and they could have stolen your Boston qualifying time. Like, this could get so deep.
Ooh, man. I'd take that one to Supreme Court if I had to.
I mean, bottom line here is don't bandit run. Like, pay for your race. Just do it. And if you accidentally don't make the cutoff, like, oh, well.
Yeah.
That's on you.
Not a thing to do. And now you know what the term bandit means.
Yep. All right, moving on to the news, the best part of the show. Let's talk about a brand new event called Run X, which is going to be the world's first ever treadmill championship. Crazy.
It sounds terrible.
Yep.
There are people that do this, but it ain't me.
Well, it is kind of cool, and I could actually see you participating in something like this. So the company, and the company name is slipping my mind right now. I don't know where it is. They're setting it up so that people anywhere can compete in this race. So you could hop on a treadmill, and the treadmill tracks your distance, your everything it needs to track, and you can compete with someone in Tokyo. And then the top 10 males and females can come to a world championship. So you could essentially be competing against an elite runner.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I wonder how exact they're going to be on this stuff.
Yeah.
So in the book that I was reading, for it to be a Guinness Book of World Records officially sanctioned, they had to measure the belt and they had to make sure all the calibrations were exactly right on the treadmill before he started to make sure that it was going to be a world record. And he tells a story in the book of the treadmill that they planned to do that on, that they'd already had it measured or something. They were having it shipped there. It got delayed and then it didn't get there. And so he jumps over and does it at like a Planet Fitness or local gym or something like that instead. And so he came close, maybe even broke it, but it wasn't official because it wasn't measured and done all of that kind of stuff ahead of time. So I wonder if they'll partner with certain brands of treadmills to say, all right, we know that this brand of treadmill is to our specifications and we feel good about it competing against other people on this same type of treadmill.
I feel like it would have to be. And while we're talking about this, do you think that if you get a PR in this race on the treadmill, does that actually count as a PR?
Not as your overall PR. That would be my take on it. I would say you can have a treadmill PR, much like I can have an adult PR and a younger in my life PR. You can caveat it, but I don't think that you can say that this is my PR. It's assisted by technology and the belt and all of that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. When I did a few runs on the treadmill and I wouldn't go over my watch. I would go on the treadmill because my watch was saying I was going way faster and I mean, I was done with my workout 30 minutes before I was actually supposed to be.
Right.
So, I mean, maybe I should have gone after my watch, but I didn't. So I would not count it as a PR. Not even, I don't love the term treadmill PR either.
Yeah. I'm just, if it became a big thing, like,
Yeah.
I don't think that's a thing now, but if it became something that was a phenomenon, a la Peloton blowing up during COVID that everyone was doing, I could see it being a common term at that point.
So, a fun fact about this event is there's actually a money prize involved, $100,000 and wild card entries into world major athletic events. So think Boston Marathon, London Marathon, the New York City Marathon, which is happening on Sunday. That's an incentive for me to join.
Well, I've got skepticism. And the only reason is what we saw from the Michael Johnson track league that he had this year, where he ended up not securing all of the money that he thought he was going to have for the athletes and not being able to pay for this or that. And so maybe it's me, but at this point in time, you're going to have to prove it on big ideas like that with big money before I will say, yes, that makes sense to me.
Well, to be continued. I'll let you know if I enter this crazy treadmill competition. But moving on to our next bit of news, which is super timely for our listeners, the application system for guaranteed and non-guaranteed entries for the Bank of America Chicago Marathon has opened.
Yep. And you have until 2:00 p.m. Central Time on Tuesday, November 18th to get into the lottery if that's the way you want to go, or if you have a guaranteed entry, you can put your time in and submit during that time as well. So you even once this post this week, you'll have another couple weeks that you could put in to get into Chicago and come run it with me. That'd be a lot of fun. So my time at Columbus, Chicago's got some auto qualifying standards. They are generally about 5 minutes faster than Boston, but actually what that does is puts it about the time that you would expect Boston plus the buffer kind of time to be. And so my time was 2 minutes and 1 second faster than the guaranteed entry I put in for that day one when it came out, and got my email yesterday that I had been accepted into it. So I was 0 for 3 in getting into Chicago through the lottery, but 1 for 1 on the guaranteed entry. So I'm excited about that.
Well, congratulations. I would be lying if I didn't say I have complete FOMO, because Chicago is the absolute best city in the entire world, and you cannot convince me differently. Hope I get in through the lottery, because that'd be a lot of fun.
You're putting in for
Okay. In for the lottery.
I didn't know what your year next year would look like as it came to racing. So
I figured my odds of getting in through the lottery are so slim.
Did you put in for New York?
No. Oh, yes, I did. Last year I did. Now, it hasn't opened for the 2026 race yet, but I plan.
That's right. It's up like February or March.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I plan to do that too.
So if you got into both, what would you do?
New York. Because I haven't done New York. I've done Chicago.
Well, that's a $300 mistake then at that point in time, basically.
Only $250.
Well, I always buy the insurance on top. I'm too injury prone not to buy the insurance on top of it. So
True.
It seems like it was about $300 in the end.
Okay. Well, only $250 for me, because I like a gamble. But are you going to race the Chicago Marathon?
Yeah, I think we'll see how the year goes. I try not to get too far ahead of myself given some of the issues I've had in the past. But my thought would be, try to run a fast half marathon early in the year, do some good solid base training throughout the rest of the year, and then see if I can lower that time a little bit more in the fall of 26 at Chicago. It's a great course, so why not?
It's flat. That's the key word. Flat and fast.
Yeah, if that's where the world record is currently held for the men and women. I think it definitely is for the men, but I think the women's record is set there too. Fast course.
99% sure both are on there.
Yeah.
But if you guys want to run or have a chance to run the Chicago Marathon, enter the lottery and let us know if you do, please.
Yes, that'd be a lot of fun to meet up with some people, maybe get a shakeout run in Chicago if there's a few people that are in it as well.
Yeah.
All right, so we need to move on to the other news, the local news here, and that's Claire's race recap here. She had a great race this weekend in Greenville, so tell us a little bit about it.
I have been so excited to talk about this. Not even going to lie. For this race, I never actually raced a half marathon before, so I really didn't know what I was capable of doing. So I set a goal of a 150 marathon, and I beat it. I was at 147 something or other, and that was a few minutes faster, and I got to negative split this race.
Yeah, sounds like you ran it very well. Tell us about the weather and the start and all of that.
Okay, so you know how I guess it's MMA fighters or WWE fighters come out in their robes and they're like, yeah, well, I had on a robe because it was absolutely freezing that morning. So I was already in the mindset of, okay, I'm an MMA fighter. Like, I got this. I was completely embarrassed, not going to lie. Pretty sure I was the only person in a robe, but it was great.
I mean, here's what you look like before a race. That sounds fine.
Well, and it had pockets. So I got to put all my, my phone and stuff just hanging around because I got there an hour early. And so I just put all my extra belongings in the pockets.
Did you toss it and lose it, or did you hand it to someone you knew?
I handed it to someone I knew, which was absolutely amazing because she came back at the finish and gave it to me. But it was great because it was really cold and windy.
So did you put together a race plan like we talked about a couple weeks ago on the podcast?
I did put together a race plan, and I actually used the race plan that you came up with that is on the running.com/kindofast website. And this is totally and completely not a plug to that. I just genuinely needed to put pen to paper and write down a plan. I'm like, well, this is perfect timing. Let me do that.
So I thought I thought it was good advice on that one to kind of think through the different aspects of the race before the race, during the race, and different aspects of it. So talk me through what was on that race plan and then how that ended up actually happening.
Yeah. So in the race plan, I wrote out everything from all the miles that I trained before, like a season recap.
Sure. Yeah.
That you said that we'll talk about that in just a second. Actually, my playlist, what I was going to eat. Now, I did make a mistake and went against what we're supposed to do, and I did try something a little bit new on race day.
Okay, what was
Whoops. But it was okay. It was okay. I tried a different flavor nerd gummy cluster because they were out of what I needed.
Well, it's still the same.
But
thing.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, it's just one bad sugar in one color or one bad sugar in another color. Both just quick, fast-acting sugar. I mean bad sugar as in
right.
It's not good for you, but it's fine for racing. Yes.
Yep. Okay, so now I don't feel as bad admitting that.
Oh, you're fine.
I was dreading that. I was like, oh no.
No issue at all.
But they were actually kind of gross because I put them in my back pocket and my cool pocket shorts that I wore, which was also on the race plan, and they got all sweaty and nasty. It was so gross. It was so nasty. I guess the bag.
A little sodium content.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was important. I needed extra sodium, right? So I didn't cramp. But I pulled the bag out because I didn't finish them on the race. And Kezia, my daughter, was like, that is absolutely disgusting.
Fair comment. No doubt.
But I think one of the most important parts of the race plan is getting my mindset right and going over mantras and kind of what I was going to speak to myself in the middle of the race, because that is completely key to me, is what I speak to myself, because I am my own worst critic. And if I start on a rampage of, wow, that mile was terrible, you're going so slow, what are you doing? That can go downhill real fast. Yeah,
you are almost writing your storyline as you go through it, or at least that's how I think about it sometimes. And if the storyline is taking a dark turn, it may never come back from that again. So it's good to recognize that and have a plan for what you're going to tell yourself during the race.
Yep, I agree. So I broke this race up into 4 main segments. So mile 1 through 4, my mantra was patience. And these miles were arguably the hardest miles mentally because I wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
I was there to race. I was there to go fast. And they were almost torture because I started out at an 8:40 pace as the pace I needed to hit was an 8:19. And I just felt like, okay, I'm going to be patient. I'm in this. I'm going to be patient. But can I Can I speed up now?
So 8:19 was what you were targeting to average the whole of the
Yeah,
race. Is that
correct.
right? And so you were purposefully saying these early miles, I want to be over that in the 8:40 range because I want to bank energy, not time, like we
Yep.
talked about. And so sounds like you went out and hit the pace that you were expecting to.
Yes. It was miserable, but I did it. Did it. Miles 5 through 8. So this section was kind of about being present. I wanted to really settle in, find my groovy pace, as we've talked about multiple times on here before. And this is kind of the sweet spot of the race to me, where everything felt just so smooth. I even turned off my AirPods for a bit just to hear the pitter patters of everybody running, because it was an emotional moment, and maybe emotional is not the right word, but I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm here, I'm doing this. Like, I am in the middle of the race I've been training for weeks and weeks and weeks. Like, this is it. This is what I'm here to do.
Yeah. So you're locked in.
Yep.
And you're executing the plan at that point in time. Those are so at the beginning of the race, just to give some thoughts to our listeners. If you're going into a race, like you had a plan of starting out a little bit slow, easing your way into the race, you were able to execute that part of it. The middle of the race, 5 through 8, this is like, all right, stick to the plan. Don't do anything crazy. If I'm feeling great, just stick to the plan. We can make up time later if we need to, or if we're having just a tremendous day. But let's stick to the plan, stay locked in, not go off in la la land and suddenly run a mile that's 30 seconds slow for some reason. So it sounds like you were able to do that during that
Yep.
point. And then you get to miles 9 through 12. You get the last 5K to go at that point in time. What was the plan at that point?
Yeah, so this was go time. This is where I needed to, like we mentioned before, like, learn how to hurt. Learn how to hurt. And I kept repeating that to myself over and over and over. And I was saying, you were made for this. Like, this is what I am here to do. And another thing I kept saying was dig deep. I kind of just, and this sounds so dumb, I know, but bear with me. I just imagined my feet every time they would hit the pavement of dig in, like dig deep and
Okay.
go, just go.
Yeah.
And it worked. It worked seemingly. And I planned to completely just full send mile 13. And this is where the whole know the course thing would really come into play, because I did not know that mile 13 was completely almost all uphill.
Yeah.
So my whole let's full send this mile turned into a hold on for dear life, because it was hard. I was in so much pain having to fight my way up a mountain, but I kept my pace for some reason. It was hard.
I tell myself in those type situations, it's like, I can do anything for 8 minutes or for 5 minutes or for 4 minutes. Like, you can do anything for that. It's not that long. You just got to figure out how to just keep it moving, keep your legs churning and work your way through it. Sounds like you're able to do that.
Yeah. Really what kept me going was knowing that my family was at the finish line. So I don't think all three, and my mom ran the 10K, so she was there as well. She finished before me, so she got to watch me finish. My husband, the 2 kids, like, I don't think everybody's all been there at one time. So it was just really special. And I was like, oh gosh, I can't let them down. Not that they would care, because they just wanted to see me at the finish. And mentally, I'm like, don't let them down.
Yeah, I love that. So this one finishes in the baseball stadium, I believe. Right?
Yes, which sounds really cool until you have to run around the dirt, and it was hard.
But flat.
Yeah, it was flat.
Yep. I finished a race in there before. It's kind of like the Olympic marathon always finishes on the track in the Olympic stadium. So you get to the finish line. Any thoughts go through your head there?
I, in natural Claire fashion, fell over and just kind of sat there for a little bit. I'm like, all right, this is my spot. And so people are coming over. Are you okay? Are you okay? And I was, in fact, okay. I was just not able to move at that moment in time.
And so did you find the hurt?
Oh, I found the hurt. I learned how to hurt. However, I will say, and this just might be like the whole runner's high and coming off of a good experience, like, I can go faster. Like, I almost feel like I could have pushed a little bit harder, even though, like, my tank was empty. It seemingly collapsed at the finish line again. But then I was like, wait a minute. Like my last 10th of a mile was a 6:30 something pace. Like I should not have gone that fast at the end if you know what I mean? So
No, like I said on the podcast last week, when you want to really learn about what it means to hurt and what it means to really push yourself to the absolute edge and try to hang on once you're there, um, you can only do that you can only get better at it by doing it. And so here's a step into it. I'm sure you'll continue to do even more. I even think about text exchange that we had with Dean a few weeks ago coming off of his race, and he questioned whether he could still find the hurt. Of course he can. Like, this guy has been doing it for decades. So even the most seasoned person will question whether, they gave it their all or if they found the absolute edge and that kind of thing. And you're always trying to get better. It's very rare that you would ever say that I fully accomplished that or I had nothing left else to give. But I think all of us runners can be looking for where that extra little bit is there. So you had a great season. I don't know, we need to get into all of the things that led up to the race itself. I know you did some maintenance planning, and then you got into the actual training for the half marathon from there. But I think what the listener out here would like to hear, because this is the Kind of Fast podcast, and you ran pretty fast in this one, but you've had an amazing progression in the half marathon alone over the last few years. And I think it'd be interesting for people to hear what that progression looks like and just to see what this journey has been that led to here. And these incremental changes might only be by 30 seconds or 20 seconds or a minute at a time of this going forward, but you've had some monumental jumps to get here. So talk about the journey from a half marathon racing standpoint to get to here.
Yeah. Okay. So I have officially competed. I won't even say competed. I have officially run 5 half marathons. Now, I've done some in training blocks and I've done some part of longer races, but I don't count that. Like official half marathons. My very first one was in 2018. It was one of the Disney Princess Half Marathon races. I ran with my mom, and my time there was 3 hours, 31 minutes, and 23 seconds. That is slower than your full marathon you just ran.
I've run several marathons faster than that. Yeah.
Rub it in, Travis.
Yeah.
That was 2018. My next one was in 2019. This was a race that I had signed up for as part of a training block. I didn't realize that it was a trail run at Camp Croft in Spartanburg, South Carolina, which is rather hilly. Had no idea, but I came in at 2:58:57 there.
All right, let's just note that's 33 minutes you cut off from 1 to 2.
Okay.
Impressive.
When you put it that way.
33 minutes.
We'll take it.
Yes.
We'll take it. My next half marathon was another Disney Princess half. You'll see a trend here. Was in 2019, and I came in at 2:56:56.
All right. So you go from, that's probably the difference in between trail and road.
Yeah.
So you go on a road and you cut another 2 minutes off at that point in time. Good.
The next one was in 2020, and you guessed it, Disney Princess Half Marathon weekend again. That was 2:34:15.
So what are we at? Like 22 minutes, I think there.
I'll take your word for it. I don't math.
Yeah.
So
Big PR there.
And then in 2025, which is last weekend, was the big Spinx Half Marathon I was doing, and I came in at 1:47:56.
Boom. 47-minute PR there. So from 3:31 ultimately in your first one down to 1:47. Quite the progression there. And you should be really proud of that. Like, all of our journeys in this running thing is going to start somewhere and progress to somewhere else at some point in time. But when you have big wins, especially when it comes in double-digit minute wins, you should absolutely celebrate that. If I hadn't been sick the last few days, I was going to like confetti it up at this point in time or get the kazoo or something like that. I just haven't had the energy to be able to do that this week. But congrats to you. It's a big, big moment.
Thank you. I was so excited. I felt like I raced smart for the first time, arguably, in my life. And now I am excited for what's to come. Now I feel like the bug has come in full force and bit me. So now I want to go. I want to race, but I can't. I got to stay calm. Got to enjoy the moment.
Well, let's be in the moment and let's move into our deep dive, which I'll let you kick off here. But it's a very timely subject for both of us here.
Yes, it is. So our deep dive of the week, and like you said, is perfect timing for us. We just had multiple Upward Running members complete marathons, half marathons. So this is timely for everyone. We are going to talk about recovery, post-race recovery. And this really goes for all distances, not just a half marathon or marathon.
And so whether you've crossed your finish line yet, or if there's one upcoming, you can start thinking about what this might look like as you finish your race day. And we got some advice from Runner's World here and from Coach Dean about what really happens when you are trying to kick off your recovery.
Runner's World, in this article, they talk about how recovery actually starts in the middle of your race. And for this, it's specifically for your longer runs. They talk about anything over an hour. They recommend 30 to 60 grams of carbs per hour, and then 4 to 6 ounces of fluids every 20 minutes or so. So fueling early in the middle of your race can actually help you recover post-race. But you're actually getting a double whammy because it helps in race and post-race.
Yeah, so it's talking about, just not depleting yourself down to absolutely nothing. When they're talking about that, like on the marathon side, we talk about 60 to 90 grams of carbs per hour as what you want to be trying to take in a marathon anyway. So this is in line with those things. But if you're doing, say, a 10K or longer, that's going to take more than an hour. If you're thinking about recovery, and you're trying to kickstart that off within the race itself, this is a good way of thinking about that.
The next thing that the article talks about is what to do right after the race. They say once you cross the finish line to actually keep moving. Don't sit down, as good as that might feel. You want to keep moving. This could be in a light walk, just walking around the finish line area, because if you do this, it probably will cut out the chances of your legs getting even more inflamed. Helps with blood flow. It helps with overall recovery.
Yeah, one of the things that Coach Dean mentioned to me when he watched back our podcast on shakeout runs a couple weeks ago was another form of shakeout runs is to run later that day after a race or even a hard workout. Now, this is really dependent on where you are at your fitness level and what kind of training you're doing. But anything to get that blood moving, like it's what we talked about on shakeout runs in the get-go. It's not about building fitness; it's about getting the blood flowing and getting that recovery kind of started. So that's another thing that you can do to kind of think about getting the recovery going.
Have you ever done a post-race recovery run?
Certainly, I've done what I would call a cool down many, many times, especially after races that would be like a 5K or 10K. I don't know that I've ever done one after a half marathon, and definitely not after a marathon. But some of those, 30 minutes after, go get a mile or two in to kind of get those things going. That's something I've done before.
Yep. I did not do that this past Saturday,
Yeah.
but I did go on a walk, so I was moving my body. So I think that helped a little. Another thing that the article talks about shortly after you're done is recovering with food, which is one of my favorite parts. They talk about recovering with chocolate milk, a banana, rice, chicken, bagel, brunch, pancakes, waffles. Anything and everything. I'm really hungry right now.
Yeah.
So
That sounds great. Yeah, that 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 carb to protein ratio, that's something that the article talked about as part of that. And definitely want to try to get that in starting about an hour or less after that race, if that's possible. Another thing that I'll note is I've always found after really long races like a half marathon or marathon that doing a ton of walking the next day, maybe it's sightseeing or things like that, really has been very beneficial to me. But what about things like stretching, ice baths, things like that? What do you think about those as ways to recover?
So the experts actually say to skip the ice baths and the cold plunges after a really hard workout because recovery is all about your blood flow, and jumping into an ice bath or a cold plunge actually restricts your blood flow when you need it most. So gentle stretching is better, calves, hamstrings, quads, but nothing super forced. I really like to use a massage gun. That works wonders. I mean, you will not catch me with a foam roller though.
Yeah. I think we should do another article on cold plunging and things like that because I think some of the science has changed. When I was in college, we would finish really hard workouts and immediately jump in, an ice bath that was 40 degrees for 15 minutes, something like that. It was excruciating to do. We only did it to our waist, but we used to do that all the time. And I think the science has changed some. And so I don't know what the latest advice is on that. So we should probably do that as one of our topics here soon.
Let's do it. So listeners, you got to come back. Maybe we'll do that next week. I don't know. We'll find out. Another thing is the sauna. Haven't you been dabbling in sauna recently?
Yeah, I did that leading up to the race. And the idea there was your blood's a little bit different kind of chemistry in the summertime as it is in the fall and winter, mainly because of what you need to be able to sweat and move blood around and the consistency of it and that kind of thing. And so to guard against a potential hot marathon, on race day, I started going to the sauna 3 or 4 times a week for the last 4 to 5 weeks leading into that. And I really enjoyed it. I hope to continue to do it. I think there's a lot of health benefits just in general to doing the sauna. And I feel great after I do it. So if that's something that the experts are saying can help, then I think that's another good one to do. But I think that's one you want to do on a consistent basis. So if you've not been doing a sauna, no need to try to do that right after a race for the first time. I think that's something that you can just kind of incorporate into your everyday life if that's something that you have access to.
Okay, moving on. Here are some of the big mistakes that runners make after a big race. Kick us off.
Yeah, we'll note the 3 main ones here. Sitting still too long. Did that after my marathon. Sat the whole rest of the day, right? But that's number 1. Number 2, not eating enough real food after the race. All right. So I did that after the marathon. I ate a big pizza, several slices of pizza. So I was in violation of that after my last race too. And then number 3, jumping back in and doing hard running too early. Now I've been perfect on this one so far because I'm a week and a half post marathon. And because I was sick over the weekend, I plan to take 1 full week off. Now it's become a week and a half. And hey, if it ends up being 2 weeks, I'm fine with that at this point.
Well, wait, but you did work out, didn't you? Didn't you do a rower?
I did a little rowing. Very easy effort, like just enough to get myself warmed up a little bit before I jumped in the sauna, which is ultimately what I wanted to do that day.
And to keep your Strava streak alive.
Yeah. True.
The article talks about how the next day or 2, you should really be getting gentle movement. So easy walks, yoga, stretching. They say foam rolling. No, you won't catch me doing that. Massage or like the Normatec compression boots or compression socks can help your blood flow and recovery speed up.
All good pieces of advice there. Really got nothing to add there.
Yep, same. I did talk to Coach Dean about the upward running recovery rule. And so I want to say, hey, what is the upward running stance on recovery? Dean says 1 easy day for every mile you race. So if you run a 5K, that means 3 easy days, a 10K, 6, half marathon, 2 weeks. I mean, you get it. You get it.
Yeah, it makes sense too. So for a marathon, you're looking at a month out from doing any hard workouts, which is rule of thumb that I've always heard for that distance as well. I've also heard it termed this way. You can do a reverse taper. And so if you did a 3-week taper or a 2-week taper, you can kind of look at what that looked like leading into your race and do that on the way out before you start training again.
That's actually really smart.
Yeah, the easy way of thinking about it.
That is really easy. So I guess I would be doing like a 2-ish week taper, reverse taper, untaper.
And that lines up with Dean's advice of 13 days at that point in time of not doing any hard workouts.
Yeah, and easy, he doesn't mean like completely taking time off unless your body needs that, and only you are the judge of that.
So I listened to Mario Frioli, and he recently said it's totally fine, even smart, to unplug after a hard race. You don't have to jump right in just because you see other runners doing that on Strava. Take time to enjoy what you accomplished, be present at home, do something different for a while. The mental break is part of the recovery too. That's exactly where I'm at.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So speaking of recovery, like when are you going to get back into it?
I don't care. Like literally, if it happens this week, great. If not, I'm fine taking another few days off to kind of end this week, and maybe next week is the time to start back. My foot, as I mentioned last week, was very sore for a few days. I can still feel it. And so I'm not limping on it anymore, but my thought is, man, if I can get that thing back to 95% before I even start back, then maybe I can avoid any soon to come issues in that area on that. So that's where I'm at right now. How about you?
I'm doing very easy, unstructured running. This week probably will be 10, 15 miles. Running as a stress relief for me and working out as a stress relief. So but mentally, like I need something. So I'm just taking it easy. I'm not doing any speed workouts. I'm just going for fun, like for pure fun and enjoyment.
Great. Yep. That's good. And our Couch to Marathon folks, they're probably just, continuing through their schedule right now with still some walking with very easy running at this point in time. So if you're one of those folks, we're pulling for you. Keep at it.
Yeah, proud of you. And with that, our time is up. Don't forget, this podcast is powered by Upward Running, a community built to help you run with purpose, stay motivated, and find your people. As always, this journey is more than miles. God is in every step. The good runs, the bad runs, the recovery, the non-runs, the sauna trips, it all matters to him. He is with you, he is for you, and he is using this season to grow something deeper inside of you.
Yep, at Upward Running, this is where faith and fitness meet, and we'd love to run with you. You can join us at upwardrunning.com/kindofast. That's upwardrunning.com/kindofast. And if you use the code kindofast, you get 2 weeks free. And we know that you heard about it here on the podcast, which is always super cool for us to see. And, with the release of this podcast, which should come out on Halloween, I believe, we're only 2 months out from the end of the year. So if you're someone who's thinking about getting into running, thinking about getting into walking, thinking about getting back in shape like I was in 2018, we'd love for you to come join us. Sign up on that code KINDOFAST, and we'll track you and see how your progress is going there.
Yeah, we'll be back next week with another episode.
See ya.
Bye. Runner's World, blah, 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 blah. Gosh, I was doing so good. I made it how long? Like 30 minutes without messing up. That's another record.
Don't go down the dark path. Yo.
But another thing is playing in the sauna. That sounds really weird. Another thing is, what do you do in the sauna? My name's Upward Running, and I'm real fun. We got training plans for everyone.